by definition, you can't really win an argument. And when you're dealing with objections and sales, then you're trying to instill your belief into your prospect's mind who has another belief. And so this is immediately a clash. And while it's not a traditional argument, this process of transferring a belief is extremely hard and difficult. Now, it's possible, and you should definitely get good at that as well. But there's an easier way to not deal with as many objections to make your sales calls less of a fight and more smooth. And there's this guy whose name I can't pronounce, but this is him, and he has a quote, and he said, "Prevention is better than cure." And the same applies to objections as well. How can we prevent objections from even coming up in the first place? And so what you need to understand is that every objection basically comes from fear. And I know there's multiple buckets, like there's trust-based, fear-based, logistical, money, partner, time-based objections, stuff like that, okay? But the only real two buckets that exist, if you really break it down, is fear and logistical. Logistical, you can solve. That just means they literally cannot do your thing. They can't afford it because they literally don't have the money in their bank. It's impossible for them. On a payment plan, it's impossible, all right? And the other hand is fear. And fear like branches off into fear of, okay, is this actually going to work? Fear of, am I going to lose my money? And you can solve these by showing people different forms of proof that you actually know what you're doing. So you need to show them that you're the right guy. And this will prevent every money objection, every trust objection, partner objection, stuff like that. Also, like real quick, time objections, saying I need to think about it, right? They just stall. Or partner objections are mostly just smoke screens, all right? So those are not real. I'm not talking about those objections because they're just a smoke screen. Talk about real objections here, trust-based ones, fear. They're afraid of what might happen if they do buy your thing. And so what you need to give your prospect is enough information and the right information so that the objections that they would have are already solved before the call. And so how do we do that? I drew this diagram here, and basically there's two places where we can apply these pre-handles of the objections. And so the first step is in the application / whatever happens before the call is even booked. All right? This is mostly targeting and you disqualifying people before they are even able to book. So what you need to do is you're going to analyze all of your sales calls and you're going to find out who of the people had the most objection and what they all had in common. Once you know what they all had in common and people who, spent the most, stayed the longest, claimed the least, and got the best results, what they have in common, you can now see, okay, well, there's a pattern here. All the people who didn't get results had these objections. All the people who did get results had these other questions. And so what you then actively do is you find the criteria of the best clients that you have, and you just filter out everyone who doesn't match that criteria roughly to not even let them book in the first place, because they're just going to have objections and never buy. You're going to find that there's a certain amount of people who match a specific set of criteria that never bought before. Never. Yet you keep booking them and keep selling to them. And those people you need to filter out in your application form / calendar booking, or for outbound in your setters. They call the people and they actively qualified before letting them book a call. That's the first and easy step. Just filter out people who are never going to buy anyway.